Hello, and welcome to your Understanding Your CogAT Results Table video. My hope is that this video will break down the CogAT Results Table scores that you should have received for your child and help you understand what these numbers mean and how it can best inform instruction and support at the home for your child. So recently you should have received a score report table that looks something like this via email from your child's CogAT results. We want to first begin with the level and form information here at the top. This indicates to you what grade level form, and the number may not necessarily correspond to a child's grade level, and form number, whether 7 or 8, meaning there were two different types of tests versions that a student could have received. The bulk of the information that you want to look at is in the table below. The CogAT assessment is broken into 3 different assessment batteries: verbal, quantitative, and nonverbal. And then the composite VQN score is an average, basically, of the 3 sub-test batteries put together. The first column is our number attempted column. This indicates the number of questions within the sub-test that the student submitted an answer for. The next column is the student's raw score. The raw score is the number of correct answers based on the number of attempted answers that the student had. So for example here, this student answered 23 questions correct of the 42 that the student attempted. The final column in the data area is the universal scale score. A universal scale score is a developmental scale score that's used as an entry for all of the age and grade level norm tables throughout the cognitive abilities test results assessment. Basically, what the universal scale score provides is a continuous growth scale of cognitive development for students from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So in each sub-test battery, a student's going to receive this scale score, and then the composite score is an average of the 3 sub-test battery area universal scale score numbers. The best information for parents on this data table really lies within the age and grade scores. So the first column in the age scores area is the standard age score. So this standard age score is a normalized standard scale score for each battery, and then also the composite average. This scale score has a mean or an average value of 100. So basically what that means is students who show a score of 100 in this standard age score column is at the expected level of development that is typical for the child's age in that area of the subtest, whether it be verbal, quantitative, or nonverbal. If you're above 100, then it would mean that you're progressing above what the age norm is, and if you're below 100, you may be below the expected age norm. So what the standard age score allows you to do is compare the rate and level of a child's cognitive development with other students of a similar age group. The next column is the percentile ranking. So the percentile rank indicates the percentage of students that are similar in age in this particular area whose scores fall at or below the score obtained by this particular student. So for example, for this particular student's score of nonverbal, they fell in the 52nd percentile. This means that of all of the students who took the test, 52% of students either scored similarly or below this student's score. And it's important to note that a percentile ranking of 50 is considered right within the average and the mean for an age or grade level. So we shouldn't look at these percentiles in terms of like a 0 to 100 point scale where 50 is failing. 50 means that this child is right within the normal expectations for an age or grade level's performance cognitively on this assessment. The next column is a staining score, and a staining score really just helps break down the standard age score and the percentile ranking into a more manageable number. The staining scores group student scores in pockets of groups from 1 through 9. So, for example, if a student has a percentile ranking between the 96th and 99th percentile, they're going to see a staining score of 9. So, for example, in this particular case, students who receive a percentile ranking of 23 to 39 receive a staining score of 4. So it helps just break down some of the larger numbers into a more manageable scale of just 1 through 9. The next area is the grade levels. So there's a comparison both of students' scores versus peers that are their same age and peers that may be in their same grade. So again, the first column is the percentile ranking. This is on a 0 to 100 scale, with 50 being the average mean of the percentile ranking sort of bell curve. Again, if a student was within the 50th percentile, that means they're right in the middle of the group and performing average to their grade level expectations or age expectations. The most useful information really on this data table for parents is this ability profile score. So based on all of the information and the scoring that is brought together between the 3 battery tests, it develops this ability profile that you'll see here on the far right. Now you can go, as a parent, can take that ability score and that ability profile and go to the HMH CogAT website. And this link was provided in the parent letter along with the student data table. And you can input that ability profile into the website here by following the directions and matching up the information in these drop-down menus here. And when you enter that information and click View Profile, it's going to provide you a narrative-based explanation of your child's strengths, maybe areas of weakness based on their scores, and then suggested steps to take to try to increase or work on their cognitive reasoning, their verbal skills, maybe their nonverbal skills, based on their age and grade level. This is much, much easier to understand, to break down. It's easier to read and interpret than the standard age scores or the percentile rankings and staining numbers and understanding what those numbers mean. So from a parent's perspective, this is really the most useful information in explaining your child's score, and then also ways to help improve your child's cognitive reasoning and learned reasoning abilities. I would like to point out that I think it's important to understand that this assessment, like many cognitive tests, is really an imperfect assessment measure and can vary greatly depending on a variety of external factors. So if you see a score that may not be really indicative of what you believe your child's cognitive reasoning is, that's okay. This is just one measure and shouldn't be taken as the end-all, be-all. For example, we could have a student who may be scored extremely low on this assessment, but it could be due to the fact that they skipped an answer and bubbled then all preceding question answers in the wrong bubbles, and that child may receive a score much, much lower because all of those questions would have been marked incorrect. So the score would have been much lower than what their actual cognitive reasoning ability is. So there are a ton of external factors that could contribute into lower and sometimes even higher scores, and these numbers should just, and this ability profile should really just be looked at as more information that's going to help paint a picture of your whole child's both academic and cognitive reasoning, academic skills and cognitive reasoning. So again, if you have any questions, I encourage you to go back to the Understanding Your CogAT Results Table PDF file that was included with your child's scores, and it'll explain all of the the data on the data table, and encourage parents again to look at this ability profile area from HMH's website when trying to break down and understand a student's scores.